So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. With the ski season wrapping up, I did want to make sure that I got the last of my gear reviewed. And this season I've done a lot of sort of upgrades because I've been rocking with the same gear for the longest time just because my ski and snowboarding has been so infrequent. However, this year, especially after, things have opened up more, I dedicated myself to get to the mountain a lot more. So with that, I've added a lot of different things to my gear set. The biggest thing that I got in terms of things that I got primarily is because of optics, and that's something that I just do normally. I tend to splurge on things like glasses, sunglasses, and things like that, and now we're talking about goggles. And the reason why I say splurge is because these are not the cheapest thing. In fact, these come to a range of this and this. Pretty sure it's around $300, but I forgot the prices, but they're here. And we'll get into the differences of why that's a range in a bit. But let's start talking about these Smith 4D mags. This is an awesome little glass that I'm not going to show you quite yet because we got to talk about the case first. So the case that it comes in is quite chunky. And that's because it comes in two lenses. And with this price point, that's the benefit, is while it is more expensive, they do give you sort of a dual use lens so that you can be a little bit more flexible with your use case. This case is particularly nice because it is waterproof and rugged and has some features in there that help with the compression to keep the lens locked into place with the bungee cords. So when you put that in there, the bungee cords keep it down locked so it's not moving around a lot. So that lockdown's nice. But it also comes with a ventilation hole, which helps with you putting in wet goggles because of snow or whatever. It'll ventilate so it can dry and you don't have like musty and foggy and condensated glasses. So when you pull them out the next time around, they'll be ready to use right away. So getting outside of the case, let's get inside. Inside, you'll find that the two lenses are inside of a cloth bag. So if you don't want to carry this big chunker around, they'll give you a chunky case involved. And the reason why it's a little bit bigger than normal is because it does carry both lenses in the cloth case, and it does have some separation to help protect them additionally. So it's big, but it does have a separation and two pockets for each lens so that you are ready to go. So if you want to backpack that, that's a great little carry-on to make sure that everything is scratch-free. And with how expensive these are, it's always nice to keep them protected. I currently have goggle socks on these guys, and that's just because for my added protection. I've had some issues of me like putting them on a helmet, not taking care of them, throwing them in my backpack, and my lenses getting extremely scuffed and torn up. So I've been using goggle socks as added protection for just the overall transportation. These do not come with them, but I would suggest you guys get them if you're a little bit jerky with your handling like me. So let's start off with the main goggle. So the 4D mags look like this. The major features that differentiate these are going to be the extended lens as well as the mag quick change feature. And that quick change feature is on a few different models from Smith, including the regular mag series. I'm not sure if the Scout has it, but yeah, most of their upper end lenses have this quick change system with magnets. The 4D just has the benefit of the upgraded lens, which we'll get into in a little bit. However, I do want to talk about some of your options here. You're going to have a bunch of different options in terms of your frame, but you're not going to have flexibility in terms of the frame and lens combination. So if you're balling out, you can use the frame, pick any lens that you want in terms of options for that frame, and then get any lens you want as a replacement. They're kind of expensive. They're like $200. So that's how you can get the ultimate customization. But for like most of us, if this is just going to be your daily driver, every frame that you pick will have specific lenses. So the black one has probably the most options in terms of the lenses that you probably want. However, there is still like a blue that has a signature like silver gold tinge to it. And then there's going to be like the white one, which has like the rose colored one and some other options. And then there's also some other like special edition, like black with like funky text on it and designs on it for like their signature models. So you can pick your frame, it's just you're not going to have the flexibility to choose any lens in their plethora of options. And it gets super deep as you start looking about it. So the two different versions that they have are the Chroma Pop I guess that kind of gets broken out into a little bit further, but like in terms of price ranges, you get the Chroma Pop and you get the photochromatic Chroma Pop. And what Chroma Pop is their proprietary technology that essentially helps boost contrast in your visuals. So not only does it help reduce the glare, but it does help with the contrast of the snow to make sure that you can see the curves in the snow, the groomes, the carve lines, and you can really react to the ever-evolving terrain as you're going through your ride. This basically just helps with visibility and your security so you can adjust. That's going to be available on all of the lenses that they provide. That Chroma Pop does break down into various segments where you can have your extremely reflective ones, which is like your platinum reflective and your gold reflective, which will have like VLT, like super high VLT numbers. And what VLT is your visual light transmission of like how much light is passed through the lens. So something like the gold platinum and the silver platinum or whatever it's called, the super reflective ones essentially will pass in like almost no light. Just so that it can block out on those really, really bright bluebird days that the sun's just hitting you in the face and you can't, it's just, there's so much glare that you need to reduce the amount. And then on the other spectrum, you have your low light ones, which you start having like your more transparent rose versions that, or like your yellow, and that are basically transparent. So they let in a lot more light for like those stormy days. And those days that, there's a lot of fog, low visibility, so that I can see what's going on. I need that light in there to see the differentiation in the terrain and not be encumbered by a tint. And then they have their middle range, which kind of balances out in terms of the VLT range, so that you can, have a transitional lens that basically says like I can get through most of the stormy conditions and I can get through brighter days without having to switch a lens, which is nice. The only problem is that with the particular ranges that they have for the VLT in their everyday series, this is the reason why they call it everyday, is you use this lens no matter what, is it can basically get through most of your days pretty all right, but it won't do those super bright days or super low light days really great. You can get by with it. It's just not going to specialize in that where it will be the ideal visuals for you in those scenarios. So that basically goes through your Chroma Pop, just a regular Chroma Pop series, and you have those three options of the lenses that you want to partake in. Again, with the fact that you are getting two lenses in the case, definitely pick your everyday or your like super reflective versions accordingly, because they're always going to throw in a low light lens, which is perfectly fine. So go for everyday or the super reflective if you snow it, or if you snowboard or ski in very, very bright conditions. And that finally gets to the photochromatic version of these lenses, and I think there's a few different colors with these, but the benefit of this one is that the range for the VLT is extremely wide. So it'll do better on stormier days, and it'll do better on brighter days than it would just the normal everyday lens. So it does have that same sort of variability, but the lens actually changes to the conditions of light that are available, so it does make it a little bit more ideal. This does come at like a $20 premium, but for me, because I'm spending all that money anyway, it made sense to get the more high performance lens so that I could change lenses less and have to worry less about the performance. So that's just the big differences that you'll see in those. Plus the photochromatic looks pretty dope. And it's just a nice, for me, then the red looked especially nice when I saw it in person. So as we get into the lens switch, that's going to be the next sort of benefit of these. So when I started off with my snowboarding season, it was pretty pretty nice out. But especially on the last days when it was starting to like switch between nice like bluebird and super stormy, we get a lot of variable performance depending on what day I went on. Having this switch system was extremely nice. So like on the last trip that I had to tell you ride, it started off extremely sunny. These things worked out really well, especially as the sun moved around throughout the day. However, on the second day, we got hit by a storm and I couldn't see anything. And this wasn't really doing the job. I was not seeing a ton in front of me and it was just too dark for these ones. Just with all the cloud cover and fog, it was just not ideal, and I just really couldn't see my surroundings. So the benefit here is like I didn't even have to take out my helmet. I could just keep them on here on my head, and then I just had to take the extra lens in my backpack, and all it is just these two tabs here. And the lens is still there because of the magnets, but then you just kind of like finagle it off. It's pretty easy. And then you get your new lens, pop on the low light, hit the magnets. Again, they stay there even without them, but they clip back in and you're ready for low light. So extremely easy to switch around. It really made it easy to change depending on how the weather was changing, but the best part it wasn't a struggle. Like I had some Oakley flight decks in the past, and those were a lot more harder to like snap in the pads, especially around the nose area. I'm glad that they created this because it's so freaking easy that I don't have to think about it. And I think the only other company that I believe does this fast quick change is the Anon, but the only problem with the Anon is that I don't believe that there are actual clip-ins. So it's just a magnetic base that, from what I've seen, works pretty well. But if you get into a crash or something else happens, they might slip off. Smith has addressed that by adding those clips-ins for added security so that that lens won't fly around on you. But I freaking love that for how easy that was to switch, and it was almost like seamless where I didn't have to mess up my day at all or spend any time on it. I could do on a lift without worrying about something flying around or like keeping all my stuff together. So that was just the easy benefit. And then the last differentiator obviously is going to be the lens itself. So with this lens, there's extreme coverage in terms of like your face. So this extended peripherals that you get on the bottom, I thought was kind of gimmicky at first, but it actually is quite nice. Not only does it give you a cool, distinctive look, especially if you're wearing a helmet, but the fact that it gives you that extra view on the lower end does seem to help out, especially when I was learning from a skiing perspective. Generally when I was snowboarding, whatever, having like all these new lenses are generally like wide in terms of the visibility, unless you are doing something like crazy downhill slalom, you might want to be more locked in. But for like the Northeast mountains, I like having additional peripheral awareness just because there's so many crazy riders around here, and it's super packed. Like going to Colorado is so nice because there really wasn't anyone on the mountain. If you went during the weekday or even on the weekend, it wasn't terrible. However, if I went on any day, I feel like in the Northeast, it's just slammed. There's just so many people trying to ski that I gotta be aware of where people are on the mountain. I have to understand like who's coming onto my side, who's coming from behind me. So having that added awareness is great. But for the skiing perspective, again, I'm not as good at skiing as I am snowboarding. However, being able to look straight and know where like my point of attack is while looking at obstacles coming forward, while still being able to see my ski alignment in my downward peripherals was nice. Being able to see that extra amount of visibility was comforting for me because I could monitor a lot of different things and focus on my ride itself. So I think that is the biggest benefit of these. So they're expensive, but from a beginner standpoint, that was some cool stuff, especially from a skiing perspective. That was surprisingly effective in helping me learn a little bit better. The other thing that I will want to say is kind of when we get into the comfort. So while these do provide great field of view, which I can show you guys here. So scrubbing through some of my footage, I realized that the clips of me looking through the lenses and showing you guys how the lenses react to the different light scenarios got corrupted while I was on the mountain. However, in this instance, I will just replace this with showing you guys durability tests of these lenses. I took some pretty hard crashes right on my face on a lot of these different shots here, and I think it's representative of how well these held up. I didn't really get any major scratches and no cracks, no really big issues that affected visibility. Might have a hairline here and there, but nothing that is very noticeable, and it doesn't take away from the aesthetic of the goggle as a whole. So durability should not be an issue for you. You can have fun on the mountain without worry. These are going to be consideration in terms of fit for you guys. Fit and comfort might be variable depending on the size of your head. So to me, these fit very medium to large, Marge, if you will. They're just in between that. So if you are a medium or large, these will be fine for you. If you like it really, really big, or you have a really, really big head, I would say like the Mag XLs are probably gonna be better your fit. But these fit somewhere between the Mag large and the Mag XLs. They do have a couple different fits in terms of low bridge or Asian fit and just normal. For me, the normal works. I have a little bit of a bridge, so that does help out. But I've never really had any issues in terms of how they fit on my face. I think if you have a smaller face, you might have some issues with this swallowing your face up a bit. So definitely try these on before you go. But in terms of like helmet integrations, these look great on helmet, especially if you have like something that's like brimless. It just has that nice like sort of pilot look, and with the curvature it does have that nice differentiating look that is noticeable on the mountain. So if you want to flex a little bit, these might be the way to go. But on top of that, just the integration, especially with the Smith helmet, just looks really nice, and it keeps everything well ventilated, so you don't really have fogging issues as I did with some of my older goggles. With that though, I will say that no matter how advanced your technology is, what I've noticed is that like with these goggles, once it starts reaching a certain coldness, it's just gonna fog no matter what, just because of like you trying to keep everything like tight in and like cover your face and all that stuff. It's just gonna fog. So like we went to Mount Snow and we hit a day where it was negative 21 degrees, and nothing we did could keep those out. Everyone on the mountain, no matter what they were wearing, were having issues with fogging. And the interesting thing is these ones definitely still fogged. However, it fogged mostly in this added peripheral area that you got. So I would have fog and freezing on this bottom area, but everything else would be fine. So while other people were having the same issue with their traditional goggle field of view and that encumbering them, this was still affecting me, but my whole normal vision, or like everything in front of me, was still unencumbered and stayed relatively clear. So the added surface area seemed to help out in terms of keeping everything visible for me, despite those harsh and extreme conditions that we went through. So I won't say that they're fog free, but they're definitely some of the best performers that I've seen. So overall, I think it's a easy pickup for you guys, especially if you're looking for something that will work, and maybe you can get some off-season deals if you go to your mountain during the spring season and there's any left. Obviously, there's been a lot of logistics issues in getting things out to different regions of the country, but hopefully things clear up and these are available, because I do think that is something that you guys should check into, both from a cool factor, functionality factor, and just like in terms of reliability. One of the best goggles I've used ever, and I've used quite a bit in my past, but Smith did a bang-up job with these guys. But anyway, that's the review. I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Do all things you normally do on a video that you like and love. There should be one more snow review on a jacket that I want to get out, just to make sure it's there. But then we'll get back to normal scheduled programming around earbuds, over-ear headphones. Got a couple Musin speakers coming, and then hopefully we'll get some more of the viewer requests that I can get around to, as long as they're not too expensive. We'll see what happens. Some of you guys have been asking for ridiculous things, but yeah. Anyway, as always, appreciate you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.